everybody. It's us. It's Dan from Japan and Joe from somewhere in the middle of Colorado, fighting bears and bringing you all the latest Ergo stuff.
You guys are asleep, Dan. There's no fighting here. It's peace.
Just yet. It's still early. The bears are still hibernating. But anyway, it's all right, Joe. We're not here to talk about bears today. So we're fashionably late, everybody, like always. But actually, it's a feature, not a bug. We keep you a little bit on your toes, a little bit anticipating. It's good. Like what are we, Japanese or something? And we're going to be super punctual. I mean, come on. Just. And anyway. All right. Well, listen, it's great to have you all here this week. We got a lot of really cool stuff happening this week. First of all, start with from my end. So, of course, all the main efforts are continuing. We are pushing forward for new listings. We also have a potential really high-profile partnership, technical partnership. That we're working on, as well as an ecosystem fund that I have been, continuously working on, and it's looking like it's going to come to fruition pretty soon. I actually also got approached by a couple of funds that are looking to invest in the Ergo ecosystem just at random, which is really good. We're going to be having calls with them later this week and next week to see their appetite. And to gauge how we can exactly we can involve them. So as for myself, I'm actually going to be traveling quite a bit next. I guess starting on the 10th. So my first stop is going to be in Istanbul for the Istanbul Blockchain Summit. And so I'm still working out with them, and we still don't know exactly how we're going to participate, but I want the community to participate in the event somehow virtually, or if somebody's there on the ground, it would be great. As well as they're going to have some hackathons happening, so that could be also a really good place for us to participate. I am working with the organizers. We're going to see if we can get maybe some Ergo material in the hackathon. Again, please stay tuned. This is really early, but actively working on this, so it should be pretty cool because there should be a pretty decent turnout for the hackathons as well as for the summit itself. So aside from that, continuing work on the education side. Again, I believe, what is it? So it's towards the end of next month. I think I was saying the end of this month, but it get pushed off a little bit because of various business that needed to be done first. But towards the end of next month, we're going to be announcing the partnership and the curriculum for the education program. So that's really exciting. I'm definitely making it ergo-centric. So it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a great way to onboard new people into the ecosystem. And aside from that, just, there's always a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, guys. The reason why I don't really blast this stuff every week is because, some things are early, some things are in the mid, some things might not work out, some things do work out, and so I don't want to, aimlessly tease with things that are not too certain, right? So what I do tell you, even though sometimes I'm a little ambiguous, I do tell you about things that are pretty solid, right? So we've been things that have been working on for a while, or things that are from the get-go pretty solid and pretty promising. So some of you might get a little, a bit of those, bear market blues and saying, oh, well, what's going on? Come on, we're not moving. Things are moving. We got a lot of stuff going on. So, do not worry. We're heading in the right direction. That's it for me for this week. What about you, Joe?
Let's see. We had a new node update this week, 5.0.2. We had the developer chat yesterday. There was a lot of notable updates from a variety of teams. I was pretty happy to see that Ergo Watch came out with a new version. Spectrum has been putting together their new layer 2 network, which is pretty exciting to see. I know Rosenbridge is something a lot of people are kind of anxiously awaiting. That's continuing testing. So yeah, there's a ton of development on the backside, and I think that ultimately that's going to translate at some point into just greater functionality on the network, and that's really exciting to see. In terms of the hackathon, most of the judges have finished. I'm actually one of the slower ones, so I have to kind of apologize to all the teams out there. But I'll try to get that done, and hopefully we'll get the results out. Yeah, good stuff happening. It's kind of a quiet time in the space, but that's okay.
Rosen is really exciting, actually, because there's a lot of excitement about it in the Cardano community as well. And it's actually really exciting for what we're doing at Zengate as well, because we're looking to actively utilize the Rosen Bridge to move assets between Cardano and Ergo. So yeah, really, really excited to be able to utilize the bridge. And I do have a bit of an insider type of view of what's going on, and so like I said, it's really exciting stuff where we're really in a cusp of getting this out to you guys. And, the team is working tirelessly, making all the right moves, testing, benchmarking. So there's going to be a really, really good piece of tooling that's going to be available to everybody once it's out. And really, I think another big value add here is that the architecture is potentially going to be modifiable to for other use cases across the EUTXO ecosystem. So again, really excited about this. I think it's going to open up a lot of doors within the EUTXO ecosystem, and not just for Ergo and not just for Cardano, but for everybody in the EUTXO ecosystem. And, as well as, from the outside into the EUTXO ecosystem, vice versa. All right. Well, let's, what do you think, Joe? Should we get to the questions?
Let's get to it.
All right. Well, all right. Well, let's start with Mr. Augustus Kent, and this is actually it's a fair question. When do you think that I will be able to buy a cup of coffee with my ERG? What do you think, Joe?
See, when will I be able to buy coffee with my ERG? So you're talking commercial payment. Yeah, there's a couple of different ways that generally works in our space. One of which is you have a exchange or a couple of exchanges create a partnership and act as liquidity providers to where they handle the back end and the payment itself. We also, from time to time, see projects that try to launch a token, and then on the back end you swap ERG for some random token, and then that random token for fiat, and then they handle the card processing. I generally favor the first, where it's the exchange partnership, because there's just unneeded friction, right? And you got to ask, if I can do that with an exchange, why do I really need a token for that? But on the backside, that's generally how that works. I would say probably the exchange right now that participates in some of those partnerships the most that we're at least are a part of would be KuCoin. I know Huobi might do something with their stablecoin, but that's really premature. I think that type of let's say, payment potential is certainly something that I would love to see. Us deliver to, let's say, the ecosystem, but the question becomes the back end and kind of the partnership potentials. Like, I have looked at some card payment options where you have a random token, and the slippage and friction really doesn't make sense to me. Like, I don't think it's necessarily the best way forward for that long term, because then you're just in a way tying yourself to some project that, I don't know, I don't really understand why there needs to be a token there.
Right. Well, I guess I mean, I guess it's sort of kind of a cat and the mouse type of answer to the question from my end, but there's where you're going to be able to buy a cup of coffee with Erg when Erg is available through more payment gateways, commercial payment gateways. Which means building more tooling for instant payments with Erg, which means networking with ready payment providers that use crypto for payments. And well, look, there is a way to utilize Ergo for payments now. Is just a matter of infrastructure. Just a matter of you and the seller of the coffee having the infrastructure that we already, the tooling that we already have, the utilizing that tooling, right? The thing about it is that the tooling that we have right now is kind of, for lack of a better word, homogeneous, right? So it's okay. So if you want to pay with Erg, you need to be into Erg and you need to be using tooling that will help you accept payments in Erg, and then you have to swap it and then all this stuff, right? But really, the ease, like that easy payment, where you like whatever, tap your phone, right? You go to the cash out to checkout register, and you just there, like to the register, the cash register, the payment register. You tap your phone, bam, you paid in Erg, right? That will take some networking and some tooling to build on top of what we already have. How far is it? It could be as far as the next hackathon. It could be as far as the next Ergo hack. Somebody can come in there and just make this really cool universal payment gateway that's going to be integratable with all these different payment apps that are out there right now, right? That's the tooling. But then somebody else needs to go out to do the networking. I am out there doing this. Other members of the Ergo community are doing this. But again, it will take a team effort, and it will just take a little bit of time to gain that. But again, we will do it. It's just a matter of time. So, all right. I think we can move on to the next question here. I hope that answered it for you. Let's see. Let's see where I saw. Okay, well, not that I am, swayed by the fact that I own a couple of Mr. Fo's famous NFTs. Not at all, but here's a question from Mr. Fo. Morning, guys. Well, for Joe, it's morning. For me, it's actually 10:25 p.m. But anyway, just logistics. Question: how is the Rosen Bridge different and safer compared to, for example, the Nomad Bridge that got hacked on Milkomeda? Well, just to clarify, so it didn't get hacked on Milkomeda. Milkomeda used it and it got hacked, right? So it got hacked by itself, and Milkomeda was using it just like many other L2s that were using it. So just wanted to make sure that context is there so that people don't think that it had anything to do with Milkomeda. Okay, Joe, how about you take this one and I can follow up on this one. So how is it different from the Nomad Bridge? What would you say?
The first thing has to do with minimizing the attack surface, right? Most of the time when you have bridges, you have smart contracts on two different chains, right? And so if you're going to grow beyond two chains, you're going to always inherit a new set of smart contracts that then you have to audit, which has a cost. Then you're also going to say, okay, well, it's somewhat different logic. So then you have a new attack surface, right? So every time you plug into a new chain, you get a new attack surface. And many, not all, but many of the hacks that we've seen in terms of bridging have basically broken down to faulty logic. You could use the Nomad version. I think it was Ethereum side of the chain actually that was exploited. So what we've done is we've minimized the footprint to kind of a home base. The thinking being, as we add new chains, we don't inherit new vulnerabilities. And because, it's built by kind of people that are pretty ergo-centric, we have better overview, oversight of how logic works in our ecosystem, and we can build something that's a little bit more sound. And every time we add a new chain, we don't have to go through the process of audit, which has cost and time, and then you get a new attack surface anyway. Now, another kind of feature is a distribution between the set of actors, the watchers and guards. You've seen some attempts to kind of automate bridges where basically there is a proof provided on chain, and then that proof, is what executes the bridging mechanism. Well, that's been kind of, let's say, spammed or hacked as well, where you get a fraudulent proof that, basically causes a smart contract to execute, even though there was no asset to bridge. That's been another point of failure. And so the watchers on Rosen don't actually submit a proof on chain. What they do is they create this event box on Ergo that's basically saying, hey guys, something's happening, right? And the idea is that watchers will, basically submit events on the Ergo chain. The guards themselves will observe, basically you have this party that's saying something's happening, right? And then they'll double check it, right? Now, one of the benefits of Rosen is that ideally it's going to be a little bit slower than what we see in terms of bridging. And most people will say, well, we want it fast, right? The goal with Rosen is not really speed, it's security. And having things slower allows different guards to check the chain, whether it's Ergo itself or, one of the partner chains in the future at different block heights, right? So, if Dan's a watcher, he may check it, right now, and me, I may check it in 15 minutes. And so it creates a certain redundancy in terms of verification at different block heights. Now, in a way, I don't know, I see Rosen as just simpler. We're trying to minimize the different ways that bridges have failed, right? And so, when it's live, because we have smart contracts that are ergo-centric kind of on the home chain, and as we build out our set of watchers and set of guards, the ability to add new chains is going to basically be, creating a threshold signature wallet on another chain, or perhaps a multi-sig on another chain, and then build the parameters that are needed to basically set, okay, how many, let's say, blocks do we need for settlement, and what's going to be the parameters for that. So we should be able to actually inherit new chains relatively quickly without inheriting the vulnerability from that new relationship.
Yeah. Well, I think actually you covered it pretty well there, Joe. especially the mechanism of the event boxes and the watchers. These are actually, there's going to be real people here incentivized to secure the network. And that's also why this could be really beneficial for both Cardano and Ergos, because those particular validators and watchers could be potentially stake pool operators. So this is just there's a lot of value add across the ecosystem for Rosen to really just going to be very powerful tool for both of us, both of our ecosystems, Cardano and Ergo. All right. Okay. Good question. Let's go to the next one. So here's a quick one. So Sigmund was asking, will you guys be at the Cardano Summit in Lausanne? I think that's how I pronounce it, Lausanne. I'll be there. I'm not sure about Joe. I don't think. Yeah, are you going to make it out to Switzerland, Joe? Are you?
No.
Okay. Well, there's your answer. So I will be there. Joe is staying put. But it'll be great to meet you. And I think it's going to be a good time. All righty. Let's see. All right. So let's find a nice question here. All right. So here's one from so FC is asking, any up on the gaming of the algo? Has it finally smoothed out to 120 seconds per block, or still some all day every other epoch? I walked away from mining chain as it was too frustrating. So okay, Joe, again, I think you better take this one.
No, our difficulty adjustment did balance the block time relatively well so far. Ergo is never going to be exactly 120 seconds. That's just what it's targeted to shoot for, right? And then adjust over time. So even now, sometimes you can get very quick blocks. You also can get, let's say, longer blocks periodically, but that's just a part of the randomness of proof of work. So now, in terms of gaming the algo, I don't think there is actually any type of mining difficulty adjustment that doesn't offer an advantage in some sense. I know that, there are some that use exponential simple moving averages, and you have some that, try to lock in the block time. I think there's always going to be some mechanism of, let's just say, trying to exploit it to an advantage. Then the question is, how profitable is that? And it's actually quite a hard question. I was reading a variety of literature around that when we were going through the difficulty drama, and I haven't seen a solution that truly has no attack surface. Right. One of the benefits of having kind of the floating average is that it does just create a longer term fair game. I know that there were certainly some rumors that some pools were manipulating or trying to game Ethereum for years, right? In terms of their difficulty adjustment. Good news is we're landing, much closer to that 120-second average, which means miners have better predictability in terms of blocks over time. Is it perfect? I would say no. Is it an improvement? Definitely. It's certainly something I would hope that the community really, thinks about and potentially has, different ideas in place if they ever want to update that again. But so far, at least in terms of smoothing out block time, it's been relatively successful.
Great. So there's a question here. So when Dan says on Twitter, different blockchains will be used for different things, what does he mean by that? Well, I think, and I've always thought that even though many chains are trying to solve some of the same problems or some of the same issues, these issues, the underlying problems that they're trying to solve are so vast that I just don't see the future being ruled by one blockchain. I just don't see that. I think that different blockchains, different ecosystems allow for different types of tooling to be built. For example, like Cardano and Ergo, I mean, we have some similar tooling and we have some very different tooling that is very symbiotic between the two ecosystems. Like, say, for example, the Rosen Bridge. It's a good example of a hybrid piece of tooling that can be used in both ecosystems in different ways. I mean, it's on the user end is going to be used the same way, but on the infrastructure end, it's utilized, it's secured in different ways and incentivized in different ways. Which is, it's beneficial for both networks. Again, when I speak about Ergo and Cardano, I don't see any competition between these ecosystems because I believe them to be very symbiotic. I believe that both are kind of doing different things and kind of bringing this super ecosystem that I think is. It's the future. I think it's how the rest of the space should be working. We should be working in cooperation, not competition, really. I mean, competition is good, but not this salty bullshit competition crap that you see on, social media where, oh no, our protocol is better than your protocol because, you guys are a ghost chain, or you guys are this. It's like, constructive criticism is good, right? But just this ad hominem bullshit back and forth doesn't serve anything. And I think that we really need to kind of grow up as an industry and really start kind of listening to the right criticism and really not let the FUD sway us or, I guess, sadden us, discourage us. So I know it's a bit of an answer, but that's because, I could spend a lot of time, bringing up different examples of how different blockchains can solve different issues. But say, for example, right? Okay, banking the unbanked, right? So that's a big thing for P2P cash. Which is essentially what crypto is supposed to be, as Joe says it, and as Satoshi said it before. I think that, say, an ecosystem like Cardano can put a big dent in banking the unbanked, right? Can we solve the entire planet's problem? Possible, but I don't know if we'll be solving it just by ourselves. I think that we'll bring a big piece of the puzzle to the table, but then Ergo has its own way of also contributing to solving the problem, and together we can find a fully compatible solution to this, right? So, like, for example, Cardano provides the network, and Ergo provides, or I'm talking about the size, right, the bandwidth, and Ergo provides the tooling, and just the know-how with all these things that we already have available at our disposal. So there's just many ways, right? So many ways to cooperate. And, we do see some cooperation from other ecosystems. I'd love to see more cooperation between us and say Algorand, projects like that. There's a lot of innovative stuff happening. And I think that really, if we kind of stop feeling like, if somebody is doing something alongside that's similar to us, they're a threat to our identity, then I think we'll find ways to cooperate and to really, push off each other and to build a much better, just a much better solution for these issues and for these problems that we are looking to find solutions for. So I guess do you have anything to add to that, Joe?
Not really. Tool for the job. I'd just say that simple.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's just, the right tool for the job. And there's all these different jobs that need to be done. And yeah, that's all we just need to do. We need to provide the tooling and we need to provide the solutions that will solve these issues, and then we'll do these jobs. All right. Let's go to the next one. Okay, well, here's a quickie that I'll get to. So from James C. When Palmyra? So we're looking to release the MVP in the end of Q2 of next year. But right now, we already have a working UI and UX prototype that we will also be making available for the public to see in the coming weeks. We're also working on a payment on-ramp and off-ramp. So we're starting to work on that, putting resources together. It's a very, very important part of Palmyra, the on and off ramps for payment. And so one of the main goals that we are really set on achieving with Palmyra is to have a system, to have a UX where people don't want to deal with crypto. They don't want to deal with blockchain, don't have to, right? Of course, it's going to be on-chain, off-chain. All this stuff is going to be still happening under the hood, but the average person doesn't really need to know, right? The same, like this is an example that I always bring up, the same as if you pay with, say, any other electronic payments, like credit cards, right? You just pay with a credit card. You don't care how the Visa network works, right? You don't need to. So that's what we're concentrating on after as we're finishing up the UI. Is fully and partial custody payments, because the underlying payments of Palmyra will be done in P2P cash and crypto. But what we're trying to do is say if somebody doesn't want to even deal with it or know about it, they don't have to. They'll just pay with the traditional means, bank accounts, money transfers, things like that, if they want to, and they'll be able to get dollar in, dollar out, right? Or British pound in, British pound out, or Sri Lankan rupee in, Sri Lankan rupee out. So basically, you don't have to worry about this learning curve that has to happen if you are going to really plug your entire audience, your entire user base into using just strict crypto payments. However, crypto payments will be also available on the platform. So if you want to, if you are so inclined to use crypto for payment, which is also something that happens quite a bit in emerging economies, you can do that. So that's a bit of a quick update on that. We'll have more in the next few weeks. So please stay tuned. All righty. Let's see. Let's see. All right. So this is okay. So this is something that I've seen appear on social media quite a bit, and so I think that. So this is from Rico Staines, who thinks that I think that the Pepsi and Budweiser Meta stuff was going to give crypto a bad look because their products will most likely experience a hack. What do you think about that, Joe?
I think you have a lot of companies that are starting to see crypto as some type of demographic, and they're kind of building half-baked products to it's excite and engage that demographic. it's where the kids are, right? And have you ever seen who is that actor, like Steve Buscemi or something, where you see him with a skateboard and he's like, "Hey, kids."
Yeah, yeah. That's Steve Buscemi. That's right.
How I kind of interpret a lot of the corporate products that, sometimes we see spun out on chain. Some of them are somewhat interesting. In reality, you could look at like Reddit doing NFTs is somewhat interesting, but then you have others where, you just kind of scratch your head and say, okay, do you really want to be in a Pepsi metaverse? Or, I don't know. I just kind of see it as trying to market where there may be a new and growing demographic. But
yeah. Well, look. I mean, you have to also, and this is something that I've also been kind of talking about on social media in the past few days. Is you also have to understand that this is not a new thing, right? You can look at other industries and, in fact, other parts of the tech industry where, so the big boys are trying to copy pasta the success of innovation. The companies that kind of paved the way and became these big successes because they brought innovation to the market. And so the big boys are trying to monetize, right? They're trying to find the quickest way to monetization, and they copy pasta this stuff without really understanding, basically being kind of tone deaf, right, to why these things are a success and why some things won't be a success. For example, why are NFTs so popular, right? So now you could make the argument that they're worthless, or they're just JPEGs, or they're just whatever art. Art's the eye of the beholder. So you paid whatever 1,000 erg for that monkey picture, and that's just a monkey JPEG. Bottom line here is that it, regardless of how you feel about the actual product, that product has been very instrumental to adoption of blockchain tech. I mean, you have to really, regardless how you feel about NFTs themselves, if you feel yourself if NFTs are just a bunch of bullshit or they're not, you have to recognize the fact that NFTs have played a crucial part in bringing more new faces and new users to blockchain that we would have not had before with other stuff that we had, right? So and people that haven't really been and never actually used blockchain for anything are now, the degens that are coming into the space, and they're using blockchain for their monkey pictures, but they're still using blockchain, right? So that kind of brings us to the big boys trying to imitate this stuff by the Budweiser meta stuff and the Pepsi meta stuff and the all this other stuff. The metaverse is they're kind of trying to throw darts at a really large dartboard, but hoping that they're going to hit. But that whole dartboard is just like, it's all twos. None of them are 10s or 20s or whatever. It's just all small numbers. They don't get it. They think if they just throw enough darts at the dartboard, they're gonna hit enough twos to to monetize. Is that a good strategy? I mean, it's the same thing that happened during the .com boom. I remember my first main job was for a company called McGraw-Hill, which is a book publisher. I'm sure some of you know this company. It's a pretty big company, and they had, this is back in 1990, like 7 or 8. And this is, just when the .com boom was picking up and websites were the big thing, right? Everybody wanted to have a website. Everybody wanted to have a web page, right? And then you had McGraw-Hill, who just dumped all this money, and they had like 15 or 16 different websites, right? But none of their websites were generating any traffic. And they started thinking, well, wait a second, we dumped all this money into websites, all these other websites are getting traffic. Why aren't we getting traffic, right? So And so they hired me to basically give them an SEO strategy back in the 90s, back when SEO was just wasn't even a thing. And that's because they try to copy success. They try to copy pasta success, but they didn't understand the tonalities of that success. And so they ended up with a whole bunch of junk. And I think in the end, I mean, this was going to happen with these guys. If they don't get to that point of where they understand why this stuff, why people will be interested in this stuff, because big names don't really mean that much. There have been big names that have tried to meta stuff. They tried to NFT stuff, and they just were none of this stuff sold, or half of it didn't sell, or whatever. It was just a abysmal failure, right? And if these guys don't really start to really listening to why some things are successful, some things aren't successful, there's going to be a bunch of junk again. Will it experience a hack? I mean, it's hard to say. It might not, so it doesn't, just because these guys are doing it doesn't mean there's going to be a hack. Could there be a hack? Yeah, anything can be hacked. So I don't think that just because they're doing it, they're more prone to hacks. But I think the actual doing it comes from a place where it's just, it's, again, going back to the, Steve Buscemi with the skateboard in the school. It's like, hey, kids, I'm one of you. Like, yeah, okay. All right. Let's go to the next question here. Yeah, so this is actually a good question here. Will the EF start hosting more Twitter spaces? Could be a great way to bring a lot of people in. Well, Joe, will the EF be hosting more Twitter spaces?
Yeah, I think we could. Most interesting, to be honest. That way you have projects talking about what they're doing directly. In terms of like the core protocol, over time, I hope the EF moves more and more into the background, and actual projects and products start to take over in terms of like that type of engagement. Because ultimately, they have their product, they have their business, they have their use case that they need to communicate how they use Ergo. If you go into, let's say, the base chain, over time, I think in a way it should get less important, less in the forefront, and actual projects and products should take over the marketing front.
Well, I always kind of go back to this, and what Alex said: take as much ownership of the network as you want. You want more Twitter spaces, guys? Let's do more Twitter spaces. I'll be there as much as I can. I'm sure Joe will as well. The EF will give as much support as possible, or as we can give for Twitter spaces. Again, as Joe said, the interesting ones, the really interesting ones, are the community ones, and there are community ones. So yeah, I'd love to see more Twitter spaces. I'd love to see more community chats. I love doing AMAs, right? I love getting questions from you guys, or we love getting questions from you guys. But I also love to have more opportunities just to kind of real time talk to everybody. So absolutely, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's get more Twitter spaces going. Let's get more, maybe even Telegram, whatever they're called in Telegram, what spaces, Telegram calls, whatever they're called. Anyway, I know saying that we're going to do stuff on Telegram is like unleashing a bag of like evil worms that you don't want to deal with because it's Telegram. But anyway, let's get it going. And yeah, or any support that we can give you, we will. And again, we'll talk internally with inside the EF. Maybe have a talk with Mr. CW, Mr. Cecil, Jay Womback about doing more Twitter Spaces. All right, let's go to the next one. TC Montague. I love Discord. Like, I'd love to have a meteor hit me in the head. Love it. It's awesome. Not really. It's not awesome. Anyway, all right, let's go to the next one here. So that's a nice one. So Joe, you might want to tackle this one since you are our tech update man. Let's see. Are there differences in zero knowledge tech between ZK EVMs and Sigma protocols?
Yeah. We would need to probably expand some of what we support in order to support some of the zero knowledge stuff that's out there. Sigma protocols have been around a lot longer, and I would say are much more conservative in terms of like the soundness. When you get into ZK rollups, you get into an entirely new branch and new cryptographic assumptions that I guess we just need time to see how legitimate they are, right? But that's always the case when you get into kind of like high-level mathematical things. They need time to be challenged and tested. And, on one hand, you have the question, is the math going to hold in terms of the assumptions, right? And the only thing that answers that is time. It's just truth. Now, on the other side, you have a different, which is more of an engineering and implementation question, meaning if the math does indeed hold, was it implemented in a way that was correct, right? So you kind of have two different potential points of failure, I would say, in terms of a lot of the zero knowledge stuff in the space. Sigma protocols are just older. And so I would say in terms of the actual let's say mathematical assumptions that you're making, they're stronger because they're older. Now, in terms of the engineering and implementation, you kind of have the same question. If the math does hold, did we implement it in a way that is robust and sound and, isn't prone to failure or exploit in some way? I think we've done pretty well. But even that has been, something that's, new information comes out from time to time that some people, luckily we weren't affected, but some people that tried to implement Sigma protocols didn't do so and, potentially, let's say, way with an attack surface. The difficulty with using that type of new tech is you have to say, okay, well, like with ZK rollups, if there is an exploit, it gives someone the ability to mint tokens without anybody knowing. That's problematic. So if there is ever an exploit there on some of the rollups, it's kind of like someone has a free printer with no checks and balances. I hope that doesn't happen, but I think anybody that's totally honest is just going to say that's a dark forest. It's a foggy space, and we might see some issues in the future. We might not. Ultimately, you need time to tell.
Well, yep. Okay, so here's actually a nice question that's kind of a more general theory or philosophy of the market. So, do you think that the crypto space in general can ever decouple from Bitcoin, and to what degree? Right. So, do I think it can decouple? Yes. Will it decouple this year? Probably not. So to me, the question isn't if it can decouple. The question is when and how much effort will it take? So I think it'll take some years to do that. Bitcoin, Bitcoin just been around for so long and it's been dominant for so long, that a lot of the new faces that you see in crypto that are going to be coming into crypto, a good bulk of them will first be buying Bitcoin. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. Investors that come into new investment mediums always look for the blue chip. Bitcoin is the blue chip. Ethereum is to a degree, but for the most part, Bitcoin. To give you an example, when I talk to the average Japanese person about what I do for a living, and I tell them about, okay, I'm in the blockchain space, and they look at me like, oh, okay, yeah. And then I say, cryptocurrency, or the Japanese equivalent of, how do you say cryptocurrency, which is Angotsuka, or actually Kasotsuka, which is virtual currency. And again, they give me this like, oh, really? And then I say, Bitcoin? Oh, yeah. Like Bitcoin, but not Bitcoin. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. There is your answer. Even the average layman that's been around and not asleep for the past 10 years probably has heard of Bitcoin. They might not know what it is. They might not know how to use it. They might not know anything about it, but they've heard the name. So that means that when you have your average investor, new people coming into the ecosystem, will they buy some NFTs from different chains? Yeah, they will. Okay, they'll do that. Okay, but will they be buying big bags of crypto that is not Bitcoin over Bitcoin? More often, no. They'll buy more Bitcoin than they'll buy other stuff. That means that it will take a while for that mentality to change. What will change it? Other cryptos, other blockchain ecosystems growing and getting enough adoption to where you can point at a household, whatever, right, that is using the blockchain tech and say, they're actually using this blockchain tech in there, right? Or they're using like this particular, this thing that you use every single day. Well, it actually uses Ergo for payments, or it uses Ergo for micro lending. You know that micro lending platform that you use all the time. That's actually built on Ergo. Oh, okay. Well, that'll take time. It'll take evolution. It'll take some years to happen. And yeah, I just think that it's a matter of I guess other blockchains scaling up, and Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin, there are some innovations happening, but Bitcoin is limited. It's limited by the lack of, smart contract ability on the base layer. There's scaling that, there's some scaling issues that are just not surpassable. So yeah, it will become just kind of just a store of value just because it's been around for a while, but the dominance will go down and down and down. And yeah, just a matter of us doing what we're doing, and just doing it consistently and long enough, and it will happen. It will decouple. The dominance will fade. And, then you're going to have your blue chips like you do in the stock market. You don't have the one blue chip that is just basically killing everybody else like Bitcoin is doing right now. You're going to have your Amazons and your Googles and your Microsofts and your Oracles of the blockchain space up there, kind of running. You're going to have about like 5 or 6 maybe top players, and then there's going to be other blockchains working, doing their thing too. That's what I see the future being. What are your thoughts on that, Joe?
I would say probably it has a lot to do with market structure in terms of pairs actually on exchanges. to where you usually will have a corresponding Bitcoin pair to others, and that creates more liquidity and more just a larger market relative to pretty much any other asset.
Yep. All right, so let's take this one last question. It's been, I guess it's been on everybody's well, not everybody's mind, but many people's mind. So, Elon running Twitter, good or bad for crypto? All right. So, is it good for crypto? I mean, in a way, because Elon is, it's a crypto friendly. So I think he is going to kind of add to the freedom of information going through crypto Twitter. So I think in itself, he's gonna give a bigger podium for crypto, which is already dominant on Twitter. Is he doing everything? Is everything he's doing good for crypto? Well, no. He's shilling Doge. Doge is it reminds me of that thing that's like, you build this, it's a joke, but then people kind of start taking you seriously, and the joke has some sort of a meaning that people are getting out of it that you didn't intend to put into it, but they're kind of getting this like deeper meaning out of it, and they're calling you a genius, and you say, oh yeah, well, you know what? I am a genius, and that was intended, and now it's actually a manifesto. That's basically what Doge is. And look, you can put lipstick on a pig, it's still going to be a pig. To me, I think that in the end, trying to beef up Doge it's a vain attempt. If he really wants to have a Twitter official Twitter crypto, there are many, many, many other choices that can be rolled out that are not just this joke crypto, this meme coin. Again, who knows? I mean, you see what happens. He tweets a photo of a Shiba Inu and Twitter, and the idiots rush to buy Doge, and it goes up 20%, because they think that he's saying one thing when he's not. Because what you also have to remember is that Elon is not stupid, right? He's not going to be incriminating himself and putting a big, putting a big bullseye on himself for the SEC to come after him for, or like some securities violations because he was shilling this thing, and it's a giant piece of shit. So that I don't think is good for crypto. That I think is actually bad for crypto, that kind of behavior. And I've been adamant about this for a while, even when he started pumping Doge before. I have a lot of respect for Elon, but that kind of behavior kind of made me have a little less respect for him, because I just think it's an irresponsible move. Because there were, like people asking, grandparents asking their kids, hey, maybe I should sell some of my 401k and buy Doge, and then that's just irresponsible, because some people will do that and they'll get wrecked on it. And of course, it's their responsibility in the end, but you're an enabler. So, and that's just how I feel about it. What do you think, Joe?
Well, Twitter is a medium I've always called the Bluebird Asylum, just because there's all kinds of just nonsense there. In terms of a communication platform, I think it'll probably get more tribal and more aggressive. And, some people are more entertained by that kind of shit, right? As an educational platform, I think short term, probably it'll be a little bit more difficult for people to engage because there's more noise. But then the question becomes like, okay, as a company, what's the long-term game plan there? And, I guess some people are speculating it'll be something like WeChat, which, I don't know, relatively popular app in Asia. We don't really have, the exact American equivalent where you have multiple services and, functionalities built into one app. So I guess we'll have to see where that goes and where that takes us. Is it good or bad for crypto? There are pros and cons. I think even with crypto, there's a lot of pros and cons of just the crypto space, crypto Twitter, crypto marketing. It potentially could amplify the, I guess, reach and quality of education and quality of tools. Or, it could be a bunch of degens that fling shit at each other. Let's see.
Yep.
Hard to see.
All right. Well, I think, I think that's a good place to leave off for this week. And once again, thanks everyone for joining us. We will be back next week, of course, same time, same channel. Thanks for stopping by. You stay classy, San Diego, and I'll see you later. We'll see you later.
Good one.